Here we go again, another video with the red Eclipse. The goals for today are quite simple. First, I need to finish the fuel pump rewire. I already got a relay, and previously I ran a 10 gauge wire from the battery to the back. I already kind of started on the whole process. You can see the mess here on the back, but we will get to this in a second. The next thing on the list is to replace the fuel pump. I bought 255 high pressure Walbro. The old one I think is going out, not quite sure, and my old one is also low pressure, so this is gonna be some kind of a upgrade, not a big difference. So, and after I'm done with all this, I need to fix my fuel gauge because it's not reading correctly, and I think the problem is in the fuel sender, and it's this thing here. Maybe when I was installing the fuel pump I messed up something and it's on the way of this thing, but we will see. This is my spare fuel sender, that's why it's out. I was just testing out to see if I can find out something, and once I'm done with all this, or somewhere along the way, I'm going to fix my timing tensioner because I kind of messed it up, and probably I'll have to take it apart and reset this tensioner, because when you're resetting the tensioner it's supposed to be in this position, not laying down on the vise or anything like this. So this is a mistake which I want to fix. Probably it's gonna be good like this, but let's say I don't want to take any chances. I bought this relay from Amazon and it does come with a pigtail, but I'm not planning to use this relay. I'm going to use a Bosch relay. This one is coming from BMW E36, and I think the quality of this relay is a lot better. The only thing which I'm going to use from this setup is just the pigtail, and actually I'm not even going to use the wires here. I'm going to take off these wires. You need a pick tool and just crush. You see, you just need to crush this pin here and they will go out. It's pretty simple. This one is a little bit more difficult because the wire is thicker, but you can see still not too difficult. And just like this, I took off all the old wires. The next thing which I'm going to do is use these spade connectors. So they are exactly the same one which are used for this connector. You see, no difference. So I'm going to crimp these spade connectors to the wires which I'm going to use. And since the wires which are coming with a pigtail are 12 gauge, this one is 12 gauge, and I want to use 10 gauge, I'm just going to crimp, like I already did, the spade connector to it. And the problem is these spade connectors are not made for 10 gauge wire, and I had to modify it a little bit. The proper way of crimping the wire is crimping the shield. You see how the original one, it's crimping the shield, but mine is not, because I had to modify the wire. I cut a 50% of the wire this way. Let's see if this is gonna focus. So basically, when it's done this way, you can crimp 100% of the wire here on the back. Otherwise it will turn out just like this, not good. And what I'm going to do to kind of support the wire and protect it, maybe I'm just gonna swipe a shrink tubing over it, just like this, and call it a day. And for the fuel pump connector, I'm going to do the exact same thing. To take off the wire, you need to take off first this orange piece, and then you have two clips on each side of the terminal connector, and you're gonna pull it out and this is the terminal connector they are using. I was able to find this kit, and it does have the same terminal connector. So I'm going to crimp the 10 gauge wire. Let me see, this one, and you can see that it does fit barely here, and it will be something like this. So this way I won't have to use any butt connectors, and it will be a little bit cleaner setup. Wiring up the relay is really simple. So you see how this number 85, 87, 86 and 30, you can find them right here on the bottom, and every pin does have a number. So number 30 is going to be your battery feed wire. This is our 10 gauge which is coming from the battery. We're gonna hook it up to number 30. And number 87 is gonna be your power out. So basically you're gonna hook up in 12 volts in here, and this is gonna be your 12 volts out. And 87 is gonna be our new 10 gauge wire which is going to the fuel pump. And then 85 and 86, one of those need to be a chassis ground. Let's say 86 is going to be a chassis ground, and the 85 is going to be 12 volts from your fuel pump. The old 12 volts which was feeding the fuel pump, you're going to hook it up to 85. And basically what's going to happen when you apply 12 volts here, it's going to close the connection between 30 and 87, and this thing is going to go like this, and it will connect. And the 30, since 30 is your 10 gauge which is coming from the battery, is going to start feeding the fuel pump. So let me show you visually. Let's see. So I'm going to hook up my pigtail, and I'm going to apply some 12 volts to 85 and 86. So one is going to be minus, another one is going to be plus. And when I apply 12 volts, like over here, and you're gonna hear how relay is clicking. You can hear the relay clicking. So you see this is plus and this is minus. And now when I apply some power here, this is closing the line between 30 and 87. And let me turn on my multimeter, and now I hook up the wires. So 30 and 87, this is 30 and this is 87, and you're gonna hear my multimeter beeping when I apply some 12 volts. You see, this is making connection between 30 and 87. And that's it, pretty simple. This is where I'm going to mount the relay. I already drilled the hole here, and I'm going to use this kind of a zip tie to hold it in place. And for all these wires, this is my chassis ground, which I hooked up right over here. The grounding point there is good, I already checked it. This wire, it's my 10 gauge which is coming from the battery, and this is the 10 gauge which I'm going to feed my fuel pump to power the fuel pump. So this one I'm going to run it through here, bam 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 bam, and then I'm going to connect it right over here. You need to be connected to this wire which is black and blue. This is your 12 volts for the fuel pump. I'm going to take off, like I told you, this wire off, and I'm going to crimp a new terminal and insert it. When I cut this wire, I pulled it through here, and now it's moved right over here by the relay. The only thing left is to insert all this into the connector and call it a day. But let me first show you which wire what is doing. So this one is 12 volt, like I told you, for the fuel pump, the black one is a ground wire. This black is for your fuel sender, and it's also a ground wire. So this black and this one are connected together right over here. So both of them are ground. And this one, which is yellow with a black stripe, it's coming from the other fuel sender. So basically black and yellow is from here, it's coming to there. And this one, which is yellow, it does go to the fuel gauge. And the other one, which is left, is this one, yellow with a blue. It does go to the gauge also. So this and the yellow does go to the gauge. Yellow and black, it's looping to the other fuel sender, this one. And this is ground, and this is ground, and this is 12 volts for the fuel pump. And now everything connected. So 86 ground, chassis ground, 85 is the out 12 volts from the fuel pump, 30 is this one, which is from the battery, and 87 it's the new 10 gauge, which is feeding the fuel pump now, this one. That's it. I end up taking everything apart to get to the tensioner, because last time I kind of messed it up. You're not supposed to lay down the tensioner like this. I mean, it's not a big deal, but before installation you want to reset the tensioner, because imagine when they ship them, you don't know if the tensioner is going to be like this or like this. The proper way for the tensioner to sit is upside down position, not laying down. But when they ship them, you don't know what position this tensioner is going to be. So basically, to reset the tensioner, what you're going to do, remove the pin and let it sit for about an hour. This way all the oil will go down, and after this it's going to be the same position. You're going to put it in the C-clamp. You see, I'm using the vise and a C-clamp, and I'm slowly going to compress the tensioner, and this will properly reset the tensioner, and you can put it back. And don't use your vise to compress the tensioner, because it's going to be laying down position. I have done it many times like this, and it still was working, but now I know the proper way of doing it, and it's going to bother me knowing that I did it wrong. That's why I took everything apart. It took me about 20 minutes, so it's not a big deal. Now I'm going to compress the tensioner, put it back, and 20-30 more minutes and it's gonna be all done. So, and just like this, the tensioner is compressed and it's all done. I also installed my oil pressure sensor, and now all my gauges will work. The only thing left is to replace the fuel pump. I'm pretty much done here with all the wiring. You can see how it turned out. The 10 gauge wire does fit perfectly fine. Alright, I'm almost ready to take off the fuel pump. I disconnected all the lines and capped them off, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is take off this fuel pump, and then I'll put my spare fuel hanger. This way my gas tank will be capped off and it won't smell. The fuel pump is out, and here's the old fuel pump. You can see how much corrosion this pump does have. The white powder, I don't know if the camera can catch this, but and also the fuel hanger, it's covered with white dust. This is the corrosion from E85. I sprayed this thing here with some electrical cleaner because I think it wasn't making a good connection. I mean, it was reading, but not all the time correctly, and now it does read. You can see 61, and up to 4.5. I don't know, it wasn't reading properly. Comparing the old fuel pump to the new 255s, I like the old style better because it was a little bit shorter, like this plug. This plug, it's a little bit different. And now the fitment, it's a lot tighter, which I don't like, but it still works. You can see how tight of a fitment is this. Anyway, let me put back the fuel pump and see if the car will run fine. All the lines are connected, and now I'm going to turn on the fuel pump. This way we can check and see if we have any leaks. I don't see any fuel leaks. The fuel pump does sound pretty normal, and our fuel pump rewire was success. Let me check up front just to make sure everything is good here. No fuel leaks here. I do need to adjust the fuel pressure, I think so, but I'll do this later. And here is one last look of how the 10 gauge wire does fit perfectly fine in the connector. You can see it's made for it. First startup after the timing belt job and the fuel pump replacement. Let's see if she is going to start. It did start. I have oil pressure now. Normal, so I guess we're all good. Back in business. The fuel pump is quiet, which is a good thing. I took out the rear seat because I was tired of the gray color, and as you can see I'm turning them black, and I'm using this kind of product. So far it's turning out pretty good. Here's a better picture of the brand. I have used this product before on a white leather and it's holding up good, so it should hold up good for the black leather too. We'll see. The only thing it is, you have to be careful when you apply it. You're applying it with a sponge, which is pretty simple, but the thing is, once you apply it, try to work in the time frame of 30 seconds up to a minute, and then move to the next section. Don't make the mistake, work on this section, then go on the next one, and you decide to go back again on this section before it's dry, and it will turn out like this. You can see the spot here, right over here. I'm going to fix this on the second coat. One more tip that I can give you is don't apply too much material on the sponge or anywhere, because it's gonna turn out pretty messy. Next, what I'm going to do is dye this section of the rear seats, and I'm thinking about dyeing them right there on the spot. Let's see how this is gonna turn out. So far it's turning out pretty good. And the first coat for the rear seats, and I'm thinking about trying to dye this section of the seat, because I don't like this color anyway. I'm going to change them with the Evo seats, which are sitting right here, but this is gonna be a good test to see how good it's gonna hold up the dye. And this is how it turned out. Not too bad. And the front seats, they can use some touch-ups, but overall they look pretty good. And the rear seat. I'm still trying to figure out what is wrong with my fuel gauge. I just grounded the yellow wire, and my fuel gauge went all the way up, and you can see right now it's dropping down. So my gauge cluster is all good, the connection to the gauge cluster is good, which means some of those senders is not reading correctly. This is the only thing left. I don't see anything else. The car is all the way full now, and my fuel gauge is still not working. It's gonna read halfway. Let's see, but I know it will. I don't get it, this belt is just annoying. And this is what the gauge is reading when the gas tank is all the way full. It shows halfway full, almost halfway full, not halfway full even. So what I'm going to do, basically I'm gonna read the resistance of the... Oh shit, this guy is crazy. Dumbass motherfucker. So what I'm going to do is basically read the resistance of the both centers in the gas tank and see if they're reading correctly. If not, I have to read the resistance here on the gauge cluster and see what is showing, what is reading. I think I found out where is the problem. This is the driver side sending unit, and it does read 3.2 ohms, which means this one is good, since the gas tank is pretty much full. And now when I go to the passenger side, it does read something different. and you can see what is reading on the passenger side. 49 something, almost 50, which means this one is not showing the correct values. I tested it out when it was outside of the gas tank and it was moving, the value were changing, but right now you can see it's 50 and it's supposed to be, I think, 4 or 5, something like this. Maybe I need to rotate the fuel hanger a little bit counterclockwise, because the floating device down there maybe is cutting on something, because I know there is something like a wow here, and if I rotate it too much clockwise, maybe the floating device cannot move up and down freely. This could be one of the reasons, and the other one is just faulty device when it's inside a merge in the fuel is not reading correctly. That's another possibility. I will try to rotate the fuel hanger once my gas tank is pretty much empty, since right now if I try to open it, most likely a lot of fuel will start coming out. So I'm gonna wait a little bit and test out this theory. Hopefully it's this simple, because I kinda don't wanna change the whole unit. Well, I couldn't wait for the gas tank to go empty, so I cracked loose the plastic ring a little bit and I rotated the fuel hanger counterclockwise, and look what happened. Now it's reading 9.6, which means maybe we fixed the problem. And now it's even reading 7.9 once I torque down the plastic ring with my screwdriver. So let's see what the gauge is gonna say. And now the moment of truth. Let's see if the gauge will start raising. And you can see that it's climbing up. Oh, that's good. It will take a while until it go all the way up, but it's moving, which means one more problem is fixed. And now it's pretty much full, and I can put back my rear seat. The problem solved. And now it's time to fix the squeaky alternator belt. I bought brand new belts. I was thinking the old belts are messed up, but I think I know what is wrong. The new alternator, the pulley, most likely is greasy. I have to spray it with some cleaner. That's the only thing left, because right now the power steering belt and the alternator belt are not connected, just the AC belt. I took it just in case if it's the AC belt, but so it's the alternator belt, 100% sure. Now I'm going to spray this with some electrical cleaner maybe. ai oștedină.